Monty, and you're listening to Monty's Mysteries. Today we're going to continue our look at what I call the architecture of secrecy. Last time we spoke about whistleblowers and how narratives are being controlled through authoritative figures, and how people are silenced. Today we're going to look at how massive secrets stay hidden, with what's called compartmentalization. With a lot of big secretive projects, skeptics say too many people would have to keep quiet. Someone would talk. That's even being said today about the Epstein files. I personally know people who don't believe in it. They think it's all fake because they don't believe that a secret that big and large would be kept quiet and could be kept quiet. But that's not how it works. Let's look at the Manhattan Project, 1942 to 1945. Building the atomic bomb. 130,000 people were involved. It was kept a secret for years. How? Compartmentalization. Here's how it works. One person works on one piece, but they don't know how it connects to the whole. For example, a worker in Tennessee enriching uranium, told it's for medical purposes. A machinist in New Mexico building detonators and doesn't know what they're for. A physicist calculating chain reactions but doesn't know the full application. Only a handful at the top see the whole picture. Most participants didn't even know they were building a weapon of mass destruction. If compartmentalization worked then why not now? And if we look at UFOs, we have David Grush who testified, quote, "The crash retrieval programs are compartmented to the point where most presidents haven't even been fully read in." End quote. If this is true, the most powerful person in the world, or the USA, doesn't have access, because the need to know supersedes elected office. That's not democracy. That's a classified state operating parallel to democracy. It's basically a if you know, and if you don't, you don't situation. Then we have the limited hangout. Admitting small truths to hide big ones. This happens all the time in politics. When secrecy becomes impossible, you don't fight it. You try to manage it. The limited hangout. It's a CIA term. It's a documented tactic they use. And here's how it works. Admit part of the truth. Just enough to satisfy curiosity, so people stop digging for the real secret. They think that little part of it is the whole, but really it's only a bite of the whole pie. For example, again, we can look at UFO disclosure. What they have admitted, UAPs are real, military encounters have happened. We're investigating, but we don't know the origin. Here's what they didn't admit. Do we have a recovered craft? Grush says yes, but officially, no comment, as always. Do we have bodies? The same. Grush says we do, but officially, no comment. Do we know what they even are? Officially, they say it's unknown. But Grush claims otherwise, that we do know what they are. This way, the public feels informed, but the real secret stays classified. And here's the genius. You can point to disclosure and say, see, we're being transparent, while still hiding the core truth. Disclosure without actual disclosure. We're currently in an information warfare, drowning truth in noise. With so many different media outlets, we have the news, social media. There's so much noise, but what is the truth? In the digital age, you don't suppress truth by hiding it. You suppress it by drowning it in noise. The firehouse of falsehood. This is a Russian disinformation tactic that is documented and effective. Here's how it works. Step 1. Flood the zone. Release contradictory information. 10 stories, all different, all claiming to be true. What do we believe? People get exhausted and can't tell what's real if there's so many different stories claiming to be the real one. Step 2. Poison the well. Take real information and mix it with absurd claims. For example, real UFO evidence, the Nimitz encounter, Pentagon videos, are mixed with flat earth theories and Hollywood celebrities eating babies. So, all of it gets dismissed. The absurd discredits the real. Step 3. Control the opposition. Infiltrate truth movements and lead them toward dead ends. COINTELPRO, the counterintelligence program, did this in the 1960s. So why assume that it stopped? And the result? Truth hides in plain sight, buried under so much noise that finding it becomes next to impossible. You don't need censorship when you have absolute chaos. It's like finding a needle in a haystack of truth. Then we have the social enforcement, ridicule as weapon. The suppression isn't always top-down. Sometimes we do it to each other. I personally see this all the time in the UFO community. People getting judged and laughed at for believing something or even just sharing an incident that they had. It's called the giggle factor. This term was from NASA's John Ball. The definition, the social ridicule that prevents serious investigation of taboo topics. And here's how it works. You mention UFOs at a dinner party. I do this all the time. When I meet someone new and they show signs of wanting to be my friend or whatever, I ask, yo, do you believe in aliens? Or what do you believe in UFOs? And they either get super intrigued and want to talk about it and are like, oh my god, yes, I do. And I've seen this, blah, 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 what are your experiences? Or we get the opposite, where it's just like, no, and they laugh. So for example, if we mention UFOs at a dinner party, usually the immediate response is awkward laughter, eye rolls, and, oh, do you believe in little green men too? Suddenly you're the weird one. Sometimes you may even backpedal, oh, I'm just curious, not saying I believe. Social pressure maintains consensus. No conspiracy needed. Just don't be the person who believes in weird things. Don't be the weird one. I personally am proud of that label, but not everyone's nervous system is adapted to handle that. For me, I used to be horrified when someone would call me weird, but now I relish in it and take it as a compliment. But anyways, this works on scientists, journalists, and academics. Want tenure? Don't study UFOs. Want to be taken seriously? Don't question official narratives. Want funding? Stay within the paradigm that we set. Self-censorship. Emergent, systematic, and effective. Let's be clear about what's documented versus what's speculative. Documented means proven or admitted. Government has systematically suppressed information. Like in the last episode, we talked about the Robertson Panel, 1953. CIA explicitly recommended debunking UFOs, monitoring civilian groups, and the counterintelligence program, named COINTELPRO, from 56 to 71. FBI infiltrated, disrupted, and harassed groups, including UFO researchers. And Operation Mockingbird. CIA influenced media. Journalists were on payroll, and we got planted stories. These are not theories, these are declassified facts. We also talked about how whistleblowers are systematically punished. Like Daniel Ellsberg, charged under the Espionage Act. His psychiatrist was burglarized, his personal medical information was stolen and used against him. Chelsea Manning, imprisoned and tortured. The UN confirmed this. Edward Snowden was exiled from the United States and can never return. And Reality Winner, the longest sentence for leaking to press, 5+ years. The pattern is undeniable. Overclassification is rampant. Stephen Aftergood, Federation of American Scientists, estimates that 50 to 90% of classification protects embarrassment, not security. Daniel Ellsberg says 95% of classification protects reputations, not secrets. Cough, cough, the Epstein files. Compartmentalization works. We talked about it with the Manhattan Project. 130,000 people kept the secret for years. And NSA surveillance, massive program, hidden until Snowden. Large-scale secrecy is possible. Then let's look at the speculative side of it. Which by speculative, I mean claimed but not proven or admitted directly by the government. Like the current UAP programs involved in recovering craft. David Grush testified under oath. Congress received classified briefings, but no public evidence yet. Information control is coordinated across institutions. Patterns suggest coordination with media, government, and tech companies, but it could be emergent, structural incentives, not conspiracy. And we have paradigm-threatening truths that are actively suppressed, like free energy, consciousness tech, and ET contact, which, personally, my grandfather worked for the government, and I know that free energy exists, even if you look at the stories of Tesla and his life story. He wanted to make it work, but he couldn't get the funding from the oil companies because they would lose revenue. If real, this would all be hidden. But no definitive proof. They exist to be hidden. So, here's the honest position. We know suppression happens because it's documented. We know whistleblowers are destroyed because it's documented. We know compartmentalization works because it's documented. But what we don't know is how much is being hidden right now and what that all is. Let me read you a couple of these whistleblower testimonies because they're interesting. Edward Snowden in 2013 said, "I don't want to live in a world where everything I say, everything I do, everyone I talk to, every expression of creativity or love or friendship is recorded. I understand that. I understand that I would go to prison, that my family's life would be ruined, but the public needs to know. Daniel Ellsberg in 1971 said, "I felt as a citizen I had to do what I could to help end the war. I couldn't live with myself if I didn't reveal this." Chelsea Manning said in 2010, "I wanted people to see the truth, because without information, you cannot make an informed decision as a public." David Gresh in 2023 said, "The public has a right to know. I've been harassed, my mental health attacked, and my personal life weaponized. But I won't be silenced." Every single one knew what would happen, and they spoke anyway, not because they thought they'd be protected, but because silence was worse. So let me show you the pattern. Ellsberg leaked truth about the Vietnam War, and in response he was charged, his psychiatrist burglarized, smeared. Snowden revealed mass surveillance, and as a response he was exiled, called a traitor, narcissist, and Russian agent. Manning in 2010 exposed war crimes. In response he was imprisoned, tortured, and painted as unstable. Gresh in 2023 testified about UAP programs, and as a response, his PTSD and marriage were weaponized. He was called a grifter. Same playbook. Ignore the evidence, attack the person, shift the narrative from what they revealed to, can we even trust them? Wait for the public to move on. It works every time. So what this means for everything else. If systematic suppression is real, and the evidence strongly suggests that it is, then every mystery has to be re-examined through this lens. UFOs and UAPs? If disclosure is managed, then what we're being told is carefully curated. The real secret is still classified. Whistleblowers like Gresh and Elizondo might be limited hangout or genuine rebels. We can't tell which. Ancient civilizations? If paradigm-threatening archaeology gets suppressed, for instance, Göbekli Tepe forced a paradigm shift. Couldn't this be hidden? What else is underwater, unexplored, or dismissed? Why does academia resist alternative chronologies so fiercely? Is it paradigm protection or truth guarding? And consciousness research. If consciousness being fundamental threatens materialism and therefore power structures, why is serious research underfunded? Why is quantum consciousness marginalized? What would it mean for pharmaceutical industries if consciousness techniques like meditation and psychedelics replace drugs? Free energy, if it exists, which I believe it does, would threaten the entire energy economy. It would be classified as national security. Inventors have mysteriously died or been silenced, and there's documented cases of this. My grandfather was one of those who was silenced. The architecture of secrecy doesn't hide just one thing. It shapes what you know about everything. We're in an epistemological crisis, and here's the deeper problem. How do you know what you don't know? If information is managed, official narratives are suspect, media coverage is incomplete, academic consensus might be paradigm protection, and search engine results are a curated algorithm. You're living in an information environment designed to shape your reality. Not always maliciously, sometimes structurally and emergently. But the effect is the same. You can't easily access truth that threatens the system, and you can't speak truth against it. And here's the insidious part. How do you talk about this without sounding paranoid? The moment you say that information is controlled, you sound like a conspiracy theorist, which have a bad reputation. This is proven through the COINTELPRO counterintelligence program. The Robertson panel is documented. Whistleblowers are demonstrably punished. But say it out loud, and you are labeled paranoid. That's part of the system. Dismissing critique as paranoia itself as a control mechanism. So what do we do? What can we do? We can't all be whistleblowers. Most of us don't have access to classified information. We can't all be investigative journalists. Most of us don't have resources or platforms. I have just a very small platform, and I'm doing my best, but obviously I can't solely change the world myself. But we are not powerless. We can practice discernment, question narratives without assuming everything is conspiracy. Verify sources, not just headlines and consensus beliefs. Notice patterns. Who gets silenced? What topics are taboo? Hold uncertainty. We don't need certainty to ask questions. We can support whistleblowers. Donate to their legal defense funds, amplify their voices, demand legal protections, contact representatives. I've had the opportunity to speak on some of my friends' platforms in the UFO community. 2 different whistleblowers, including Jason Sands and Lenville Logan. It was really interesting and intriguing what they had to say. We can fund independent journalism. ProPublica, The Intercept, investigative nonprofits, Substack journalists doing real work, not corporate media, captured by access, ratings, and advertisers, and that have historically been used in these systems. We can teach critical thinking. To kids, students, friends, I've been teaching my 3-year-old critical thinking, as well as my friends and some people in the UFO community. How to spot propaganda, narrative manipulation, and information warfare. We can build parallel infrastructure, decentralized platforms, open source research, citizen journalism, FOI Freedom of Information Act requests. There are websites you can access like the Black Vault that have hundreds, maybe thousands of FOI requests on there for anyone to look at. I absolutely believe in open source research, and I myself am building a website to share all of my personal research with everyone out there. Here's a big one. Don't self-center. Speak truth, appropriately and strategically. Ask uncomfortable questions, and don't let ridicule stop inquiry. These are all small acts, but they matter, especially as more of us continue to do these small acts. Because the architecture of secrecy relies on our silence, our compliance, our exhaustion, and most of all, our division. If we refuse to give them that, cracks appear in the system. And after researching this for months, here's what keeps me up at night. Not what are they hiding, though that does matter, but how much of what I think I know is a managed narrative. Am I seeing reality or a curated version designed to keep me compliant and quiet? And I don't mean that in a paranoid way. I mean it as a genuine epistemological question. If information is systematically managed, and the evidence says it is, then how do I discern truth? How do we all discern truth? I don't have a perfect answer, but I have a practice that I've created. First, trust but verify. Don't assume everything is conspiracy, but don't assume everything is a truth. Verify, cross-reference, and think critically. Next is to follow the pattern, not the claim. One whistleblower could be wrong, even if a lot of other things that they share and say are true. Anyone could be wrong, but when the same thing happens to all of them, that's the pattern, and to me that is evidence. Next, notice the silence. Sometimes what's not talked about is the most revealing. Why isn't media investigating Rush claims more aggressively? Why are JFK files still classified after 60 years? Why has it taken so long to release the Epstein files, with only so little of it released and so much redacted? The absence for me is data. Whistleblowers are canaries in the coal mine. When they're punished, we all lose. This is the biggest one for me. To stay curious and to stay humble. I don't know is a powerful statement. Certainty is the enemy of truth. So here's what I'm asking you to do. Pick one case, deep dive it. Pentagon Papers with Ellsberg, NSA surveillance with Snowden, WikiLeaks with Manning, or UAP disclosure with Rush. Research. What did they reveal? How were they treated? Was information verified? And what changed, if anything? Then ask yourself, if you had that kind of information and you were in their situation, having a family, a home, a job, would you come forward? Knowing you'd likely be prosecuted, your reputation destroyed, your family threatened, and maybe nothing would even change. Would you do it? Because that is the question at the heart of this. Truth ultimately has a cost. Whistleblowers pay that cost. The rest of us benefit from their sacrifice. But do we honor it? Do we protect them? Or do we let the system destroy them and move on? The pattern I've shared with you today is clear. When truth threatens power, people have a response. A playbook, refined over decades and it works. Not because we're stupid, but because the system is designed to make truth very hard to find, harder to believe, and even harder to speak. So here's my question for you. What are you willing to know? Not just intellectually, but at a cost. The cost of being dismissed, the cost of being wrong, the cost of standing alone. Because that's what truth sometimes demands. And if we're not willing to pay it, and if we let every whistleblower be destroyed and discredited, if we let every disclosure be managed, if we accept the architecture of secrecy, then we're choosing comfort over truth. And wouldn't that be a horrible world to live in? I'm Monty, and this is Monty's Mysteries. The architecture of secrecy is real, but so are the people willing to tear it down, one truth at a time, at any cost. Are you with us? We can support whistleblowers. We can practice discernment. We can build alternative infrastructure. We can refuse to stay silent. The architecture of secrecy is real, but it's not invincible. It requires our compliance, and we can withdraw it.